sun, it comes across the ridge, burning fog off of the fields as another day begins. The work is hard but satisfying, I guess in other people's eyes, they just don't understand. It's the life I love, the life I need, there is no guarantee, but it surely feeds my soul. Retiring is a choice, this life is one that I enjoy, out here on Thunder Road. Out here on Thunder Road. Out here on Thunder Road.
Today I want to give a shout out to Arms Family Homestead, one of my favorite YouTube channels. If any of my subscribers have not seen their channel, please go to the link below in the description and go to their channel and check them out. And if by chance any of Arms Family Homestead subscribers see this my video, please like and subscribe to my channel as well. Today we're going back in time. We're going to the Museum of Appalachia's annual sheep shearing days. The Museum of Appalachia is located in Clinton, Tennessee, just outside of Knox County in East Tennessee. It was founded in 1969 by John Rice Irwin, an East Tennessee historian and educator. It encompasses 65 acres and is home to 35 old Southern Appalachian structures, including churches, schools, barns, and cabins. One of these cabins belonged to Mark Twain, and it is reported that it is the cabin that Mark Twain was conceived in. Also on the grounds of this living museum are chickens, ducks, and peacocks roaming at will. There are 3 buildings holding over 250,000 Southern Appalachia artifacts, Native American artifacts, quilts, baskets, and much, much more. It is now an affiliate of the Smithsonian Institute. So if you're ever in the East Tennessee area, it is well worth your time to look this place of history up. So now please come along with the journey as we travel back in time to the way our Southern ancestors lived. A time of no electricity, no running water, no indoor plumbing. We sure have it made today. So come along for the journey.
I'm going down here, go in this fast.
Move it. So we have arrived at the Museum of Appalachia. I'm just doing a panoramic of the entrance as you go in to the museum. So stay tuned. The sheep being sheared today belong to my friend Cindy Connors at Cinderella Farms in Knox County. The black ones you see are natural coloreds and the white ones are border Chesters. Daniel Talon is doing the shearing. But of course back in the days of early Appalachia they didn't have electricity and they had to clip by hand with hand shears. So Daniel's actually got it easy compared to how our ancestors had to shear. It's because she was really clean. And there you have the finished product. These are just some of the buildings on the grounds of here at the museum. And those gourds up on the post are purple martin gourds. Purple martins are good to control mosquitoes and other flying insects. And a lot of the old-time farmers would grow these gourds to help control the bug population. Aren't you glad that we have rototillers and tractors to plow up our gardens now and don't have to use a horse-drawn plow like they did back in the olden days? Herding dogs are so smart. Watch them at work. Sugar. Here's just some more panoramic views of some of the buildings on the ground here at Museum of Appalachia. That barn and that barn are two of the buildings that hold all of the memorabilia from our Southern heritage. This is Picasso and Sadie, the two miniature horses that live here on the grounds of the Museum of Appalachia. This is what's called the Wilson Barn, with 3 old wagons and buckboards. This is the wheelwright shop, where old-time wagon wheels are made and fixed if a spoke was broke.
Good job, Robin.
Yay, wow. Now watch this one. Corkscrew action.
Do metals have different hardness levels, I guess?
Be a good time to set. Be a good time to set. Alright, let me punch it so I can put a hole in it. Wow.
don't have to heat it to do that?
This is just an old corn crib called the Cox corn crib. And of course, the old-time medicine show cart. When people roll into town with a mysterious elixir that was a cure-all for all that ailed you. Some old wagon wheels. Wagon and cart wheels that were used in olden days. This log kitchen actually belonged to one of my cousins, Mark Monroe, who was one of the early settlers of Maynardville. So I'm not sure exactly how far back our lineage goes, but I do know that he was a distant cousin. This is what they call the McClung house. Look at those wooden roof shingles. Can you imagine how long it took to hand cut those shingles and put on the roof? This is the old Sharp corn mill, where they brought the corn to be ground into flour and meal. This is the Old Bunch smokehouse. I'll get up close to where you can see inside. This is a working garden on the grounds of the museum. And as I showed you up in the demonstration of them plowing the garden with the horse, they actually cheated on this garden because look, there's a rototiller. They sure didn't have those back in the good old days. And this is the Mark Twain family cabin. The cabin where Mark Twain was supposedly conceived. And that's my nephew walking out of the cabin. This is an upping block from the courthouse of Manchester, Kentucky. An upping block was used to mount horses or to get up in carriages or stagecoaches. And there's one of the peacocks strolling the ground. These are some of the signs that H. Harrison Mays constructed. He was a coal miner who waged a one-man stand and crusade for God. He built these concrete signs along the roads all throughout the United States. And as you can see down here, these signs were put in all 50 states, 82 nations on the 7 seas, and all the big rivers and lakes, all in the United States. I'm not going to go into detail on all the artifacts in the buildings because there's just too many of them to talk about. So I'll just do a panoramic view as I walk through the exhibit. But that was a jacket that belonged to Harrison Mays I was telling you about, that was the one-man crusade to tell people about Jesus all across our continent. There's his shoes.
Yeah. That was only 8.
This is a James Bunch exhibit. He was born in 1916, way back in the Great Smoky Mountains on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. His father died before he was born, and his mother lost her mind when James was only 2 years old. He was raised mostly by his grandparents and started working in the log woods and at local sawmills when he was only 8 years old. He attended a one-room school for only a few months. He spent his life cutting and logging timber, farming as a carpenter, and working 12, 14-hour days as a common laborer. But when his beloved wife Harriet became bedridden and totally helpless, he refused to allow her to go to a nursing home. He sat by her bedside night and day for 14 years, tenderly caring for her every need. It was during this time that he started whittling with his pocket knife. Over the years, he created thousands of items of things he had carved and observed and remembered through his life in the mountains. All of this carved and whittled by a knife, all out of wood. Look at the detail on that motorcycle. As I said, there are too many artifacts to go into detail. This is just one side of one of the display buildings. But what is Southern Appalachia known for? It's moonshine stills. All goes back to why I named Thunder Road Katahdins. And if you happen to come across a blue canning jar with a 13 on the bottom, they're highly valuable because moonshiners thought 13 would cause them bad luck, and they would bust all that they could find, all the jars they had that said number 13 on them. So they're highly collectible today.
Until Lily and Susie started snoring. And they were snoring and snoring. You need the sound of this for you're getting ready to happen. Snoring.
What a beautiful bird. This is the Tom Cassidy house. Tom Cassidy was born in 1920 and died in 1989. He was a musician from Union County, Tennessee. He spent his last few decades of his life living alone in this one-room shack. So it is supposed that if he stretched his arms out, he could almost touch the opposing walls of this 8-foot by 8-foot home. Such tight quarters would likely feel confining for most of us today, but for this independent bachelor, it was more than enough. Tom once said, "I've got this little cot in there, a chair, a stove for heat and cooking, a frying pan, a bean pot, an old dresser, my fiddle, and my pistol. What more does a man need?" When the museum purchased the cabin in 2007, it was exactly as Tom had left it. His photo of country music icon Kitty Wells still hangs on the wall, and bullet holes, which the origin is unknown, still perforate this tin roof, can still be seen. There's the picture of Kitty Wells. And that cot. Like I said, there's just too many artifacts to mention. So I'll just do a panoramic view of the other building, of just some of the artifacts. There is an upstairs to the museum as well, but I'm not going up there today. So just bringing you a short video. Old military hat. This table was actually Sergeant Alvin York's dining room table in his trunk, belonging to Cordell Hull. These are a collection of old baskets from old pioneer basket weavers. Just giving you a general view there. Roy Acuff, the king of country music, who I'm distantly related to on my mamaw side. Famous member of Grand Ole Opry and yo-yoer. Chet Atkins, another famous musician from Union County. Union County, Tennessee, the cradle of country music. There are several big-name country music stars coming from Union County. Roy Acuff, Chet Atkins, Carl Smith, Lois Johnson, and Kenny Chesney. Chet Atkins is more known for his guitar playing than his fiddle playing, but that's his fiddle that once belonged to him. And of course, Kaz Walker. Famous grocery store owner and operator in Knoxville. And there's his first delivery system. And of course, what Southern Appalachian music is there without a banjo? These are just evolution of banjos over the years. Banjos from the mountains of East Tennessee and surrounding area. Charlie Boyd Acuff, who's also a well-known fiddle player in this area, who's my third cousin. His daddy and my mamaw were brothers and sisters. And is it a fiddle or is it a violin? Depends on where you're from and how it's played. Grandpa Jones, member of Grand Ole Opry and star of Hee Haw. Bill Monroe exhibit, the father of bluegrass music. The mountain dulcimer. It's the hammered dulcimer. The guitar. The mandolin. Red Rector, another East Tennessee musician.
Let's see. Don't play it.
Banjo might have a bedpan. Well, you know, we think times are tough today. As you can see, our ancestors really had it hard. Worked from sun up to sundown with no running water, no electricity, no indoor plumbing, so you had to take trips to the outhouse if you had to go. Cold winter air coming through the cracks between the logs. We sure are spoiled today. What a perfect way to end this partial tour of the Museum of Appalachia. I didn't show you everything, but if you're ever in the East Tennessee area, if you ever come to the Smoky Mountains for vacation, just a few miles up the road, come check out your heritage and how our parents lived. We were so spoiled today with our running water and inside plumbing and central heat and air. I can't imagine living back in those days, can you? Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of any future videos. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.